Monday. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd. That's our April Fool's joke for this year. So I appreciate you guys taking the time. We're going to talk about the Fathom offers and how those are structured and where to find them. There is a lot of training available for you as well. So if you want to dig into this further, there is a Fathom Academy training, and I'm going to show you the link to that, and I'll share it with you at the end of our meeting today. I see some more people jumping on, so welcome, welcome. If you can put your contact information in the chat and let us know where you're working and where would be a good place to send a referral, that's super helpful. Maybe who your clients are that you work with, that's also helpful. If you have a specialization, land or condos or mobile homes or ranch property or whatever it is, that's really helpful too, honestly, because we're in such a diverse geographic area that we have all of that, not just single family. So welcome again. Okay, so I'm going to share a couple of things with you here. First thing I'm going to do is jump on to Fathom Wiki. If you're not sure what Fathom Wiki is, that is a resource library that the company has. Hopefully y'all can see that. So if you just type in fathomwiki.com, it's going to ask you to log in with your Fathom credentials the first time, but from there, you can then research all kinds of things in here. And so I wanted to talk about Fathom offers. Just type it in the search here, and this is what will come up. So a lot of information there. And then I wanted to share with you, I'm going to minimize this because it's super distracting for me, how this looks. So there are 3 steps, and you can kind of see there's 3 columns there because there's 3 different ways to get offers. So basically you can get instant offers, and I wanted to share this with you because this is where you can download these resources. There's a client flyer for you that you can customize that you could put in at open houses with your contact information or send it out to your database as well. There is a 3-step way to engage Fathom offers with the listings and with potential clients or potential sellers. So basically the iBuyer, there's a couple ways to do this. There's an iBuyer program, there's a bridge program, and then there's an FAQ. I'm going to send all these out to you. I've already downloaded them, but I did want you to see what this looks like because it's very simple. All you need to do is text the address and approximate home value to a phone number. Like that's as simple as it can be. And then they can check eligibility and get an offer out to you. So in my phone, it says Zavvy Offer Optimizer, Fathom Offer Optimizer, whatever, and that phone number is in my phone. So what you do is you do a CMA, and then you put that price valuation into this text message, and they'll send it out to you. Very, very simple. You can also fill out the property profiler with your client, and this is cool because you can put in updates to the property, what the average value of the property is in the area and all of that, and it'll kind of spit out, you know, a range of value. And then with your CMA, they can kind of give you an offer. If you don't have time to do that, just put your text your name and your property address, and they'll check whether the listing meets basic eligibility, and then you can do it. Now, the cool thing is the iBuyers will contact you. They're never going to call your client. So I know that was a concern. I was talking to another agent earlier about this, and they said, well, what will stop them from just doing an end run around me? Well, 2 things. One, they don't have your client's information. They do have the address, but they're not going to call them. And then the second is you should be doing this once you sign a listing agreement as part of your services. So you can tell them we can sell it on the open market, but we have these other options if, you know, time is an issue, or maybe being able to stay in your home while you're looking and being able to just have it sold but give you time to move. Those are some ways that you could use that. So I just wanted to share kind of what's in there. You can go ahead and take a look at that. Hi, Masa. Good to see you. I'm Rita. I feel like our class is growing all of a sudden. Has anybody had experience with an iBuyer, either on the buy side or the sell side? I'm curious to know. If you've got experience, I'd love to hear. Everyone's shaking their head. Julie says she has. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience with an iBuyer transaction?
So I had a company that I worked with for a short period of time where I could submit an address in there and then get 1 to 3 cash offers on the product. And then take that over to the seller and say, you know, does this work for you? But the particular company I was working with had what they call a buy box. And that means that they've got criteria that the home and the location of the home has to fit into for them to be interested in submitting. And mostly the properties in my area, which are more rural, would not fit into their buy box. So they're not interested in manufactured homes. They're not interested in stuff really on acreage. These companies that I dealt with were mostly working in Arizona, San Antonio, big metroplexes. It probably worked great for Sacramento, but not where I am. So that's been kind of the experience that I've had. Is I would be curious as to what the buy box is for these companies, so I know ahead of time, because I would love to go in and have a marketing campaign that's some kind of home sold guaranteed offer where you've got a cash offer that I could go to the listing appointment with and say, hey, I've got a buyer today that'll give you this. And when they, you know, hate the number, then we can talk about listing.
Yeah. Okay. And that's a really good point, because I think you're right. A lot of these iBuyers have a buy box. And if you're trying to sell a ranch, that might not work for you. Okay, there's another, it's tangential to this topic, but there's one called Spark Offer. And I know some of you from a long time ago probably heard me talk about Spark Offer before. It is an auction platform where you can put your property up as a listing agent, and send it out, syndicate it that way, and it goes nationwide. So there's a couple other ways that you can get your property out in front of people that is not necessarily MLS related, or ways that you can sell. Spark Offer generally is very inexpensive to do, and we can talk about that another day, but I'm just going to throw that name out there if you want to go research it. I can give you some data on that. Okay, so as far as iBuyers go, anyone else have any experience closing an iBuyer transaction or writing an offer? No? Have you had your sellers at all interested in something like this? Yeah, Julie says yeah. Anyone else?
Do you think the sellers can get more money through this versus doing a regular sale?
No, this is not going to get you top dollar for sure. There is a holding fee, right? So because there's a third party involved, money has to go somewhere, and they're going to get some. So this
Yep.
is more for people who, well, let me give you an example. Certainty is why people would use this, right? They want to know their house is sold right away. That's easy to do. That's why people generally use an iBuyer. They're in a distressed situation, perhaps, or they want to stay in their home, but they want to get their home sold while they're looking. And so that's another way that you can use the Fathom offers. They do have a way for you to sell your house and stay in it for up to a year before you have to move and choose a property. So certainty is really what it's about, in my opinion. Anybody else want to share? I know, Nato, you said you had some experience.
Just a little bit, actually. I had a client who purchased a couple of homes from me, and it came to a point where they wanted to sell one of the houses. And this is when maybe 2, 3 years ago,
Okay.
when I think there was a whole bunch of them. You were talking about, I think, Open Door and all these companies.
Yeah.
And we did numbers, and actually she got a better offer through an iBuyer company. So instead of using me, I lost the client basically because of this company offered like 50,000 above what comps were going for in the area. So to them, if they're gonna get $50,000 more going with them versus going with me, it made no sense. So that they went with the other company.
Yeah, and I think that kind of bit them in the backside, right? I mean, they inflated the property values thinking they were going to keep this market trajectory going, and then they ended up holding a lot of money, holding a lot of property that was undervalued. So yeah, I mean, the whole point of the iBuyer program is certainty. So if you've got a seller who has a special situation where they want to see offers, like what can I do if I can sell it by the end of the week? Like what can I get for my house? Then an iBuyer situation would be a good idea. Like I said, or if they are looking at a bridge loan, that's another way that they do it. Brad, do you want to share any comments? Got anything you want to put in on this one?
No, I mean, the iBuying process is, it depends on the area too. Some areas were heavily inflated and to the point of what, we were just talking about, that those values were going for higher than what, you think you would get and what the average person would pay.
Mhm.
And then you got other areas that, which is typical, which is where you're getting less with the iBuyer. And the auctions, I've done auctions early on back in the days, through Countrywide and so forth. And
Mhm.
auctions rarely, produce any type of good estimation of value. Most of the auctions are, usually your flippers that are looking for, sight unseen, and they're going to pay a price accordingly.
Yeah, so I'll give you just a quick background on Spark Offer. Basically, that is a place where you could put up your MLS listed properties, and it's just another way for you to get some exposure for the property. Let's call it that. But the advantage is it's real time bidding, so buyers can see what other people are already willing to pay for that property, and you're not. So it can push up the offer price, because in a traditional sale, you submit your offer and you get multiple offers. No one knows what anyone else is bidding, right? Like you just cross your fingers. And this is why this came up, because a couple of years ago, you have the same issue where people would say, okay, I see the list price and I know I'm going to have to come in at least 50,000 more to be competitive, right? But if you're in Spark Offer, if you're on a platform and you're listed that way, you can see in real time what people are offering. And if you want to bid higher, you can. So in that case, it was really helpful for the seller. At the end of the auction, you'd still have an expiration date. At the end of the auction, then the buyer would sign a contract with that price and move forward. So it's just another way of selling a property. And some people really like that, because it does take all of that opacity away. You can see exactly what's happening. So if you've got a buyer who's very, very interested, or a seller who wants to see what the buyers are willing to pay, you can do that. So anyhow, that's what Spark Offer is for, in my opinion, is really getting those buyers to see what true market value is instead of guessing. Okay, the other thing I wanted to share with you was the link for Fathom Academy, because you could all go right into Fathom Academy and see some more training on this product. So let me share that with you really quick.
While you're pulling that up, the one thing I will add too is keep in mind that any of your active listings, I know agents and have friends that work in the iBuying platforms, and they are actively calling your clients, and trying to, they have scripts and they have sales pitches, and it's just like walking through a timeshare, if anybody's ever done that with your clients. So if you think that you're just going to not talk to them about it, then that's going to come along and then bite you in the butt. So you definitely want to have dialogue and have conversation, help them understand the pros and cons to it as well, so that way they don't feel that they've been sided.
Yeah, cool. And then so if you go into IntelliAgent and you go into the Fathom tab on the left hand side, you scroll down, you're going to see one that says Fathom Academy. And all I did, if I want to back this up, let me see if I can do this for you. So this is a little dicey because I'm not sure where it's going to take us, but when you go into Fathom Academy, you should be able to just type in, maybe it's going to have me sign on again because I've been out for a while. All right, so if I typed in Zavvy, that's all I did. And then you just go to this one, iBuyer's Friend or Enemy, and it's about an hour long. Okay, so 58 minutes, right? So that's how you get there. Super simple. If you wanted to dive into this topic and get information from Zavvy and from other agents at Fathom, that's who is running this one. It's Bridget Lyons, Zavvy, and Sherry Dwelly. So that's a great conversation and a good way just to get up to speed on what that is and how to implement that. So again, there's FAQs in Fathom Wiki where you can download those. It'll walk you through the process. And then there is the Fathom Optimizer. There was a link, I know, in the past, and I didn't have a minute to go look, but I know that there's a link where you can actually go in and put in, property upgrades, what the condition of the property is, because that will affect what your offer would be, obviously, if it needs repairs or if it's, market ready. So just some ways for you to just show value to the seller, and also, on the buy side. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share. I just wanted to show you where it is and kind of what it is. Very, very simple. I did it on my neighbor's house when it first came out. I was like, let me just test run this. And just so I could run through it. So I highly recommend you go in and do that. just run through the process one time using a, fake address or whatever. They're not going to call them, as I said, they don't contact your client. But it's a good way for you to run through the system and at least give it a dry run, see how it works. So you're familiar with it, and then jump into the Fathom Academy, do the training. That'd be really helpful. Anybody else have anything else they want to talk about on this topic, iBuyers or anything like that? Are we pretty much
I would
done?
just say that it's it's another tool in the belt. It's not for everybody. Just like if somebody wants to stay in the home and they need a bridge loan, or they don't want to move twice, it's not always the right solution, or reverse is not always the right solution, but it is a tool in the belt, and you've got to have all your tools available so that if you're really diving in and realizing what the goals and intentions are of your client, then you'll be able to help them to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and if you haven't already done so, I would definitely put together kind of a bullet point of, here's some things that I offer that maybe you haven't seen from other agents, ways that we can help you get value. The last thing I wanted to share was something called Seller Shield. Are you all familiar with what Seller Shield is?
No.
Okay, so you know how there's a buyer home warranty? This is the seller's version, and Seller Shield is something that you can implement on a listing. So let's say you've listed a property, everything was working fine, and then all of a sudden the water heater goes out, right? So Seller Shield is something that the sellers can use, and it gets paid at closing. So it's not something they have to pay for up front, but it's a very cheap way for sellers to get a home warranty while they're in escrow. Okay, super. Thanks, Amruta. So Seller Shield is another one, and I've got the link for you to Seller Shield to check out on the wrap-up email that I'm going to send out here with all these PDFs and links. So you can take a look at that, but it's a good idea. I had a listing recently where we did have something go wrong during escrow. We're like, dang it, I should have signed him up for Seller Shield. I just didn't think about it. So again, that's like a thing for me. It's in my processes, right? When you list a property, we're going to do this, this, and this for you. Here's an extra value add that I do for you. This is why we do it. It just shows that you're a professional, and it gives you just one leg up on another agent who might be in front of him. Joseph is nodding his head.
I've used it many times,
That does not surprise me, honestly.
and you're all choked up about it too.
I know.
Yeah, I've had times where, my client decides to clean the oven, and the self-cleaning oven decides to stick on it, and they can't open it. They're freaking out. I'm going, just call. I've got this thing for you. And next thing you know, I'm the hero. And they're telling all their friends and neighbors.
Yeah, and it's really inexpensive. I think it was like, I don't know, I'm going to say like $30 a month or something. It's super cheap, but it's peace of mind. Again, certainty.
Yeah.
Right?
The home warranty companies offer a lot of the seller's coverage as well, which is something similar.
Say that again, sorry.
A lot of the home warranties will offer service. Home warranty companies will also offer seller coverages as well.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, right? That's what Seller Shield is a seller's
Yeah,
warranty
same.
during escrow.
But it's a good idea to get, because when it happens, you want to be the hero and the
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah, especially if the house is vacant, right? They're not even there to know it's happening, and something goes wrong, and they're like, just another way for you to be there and help them. So anyway, okay, well, I appreciate you guys jumping on and taking the time, and especially on a Tuesday instead of Monday. Sorry about that. But we'll continue with our regularly scheduled meetings next week on Monday. And if you haven't already, take advantage of the NAR ABR course. It's free. So you can get your chops all set up on buyer representation. You know what's coming down the pipeline. You really should take advantage of that, since it's absolutely free. There's no reason why you shouldn't, because everyone else is, and you're going to be behind if you don't. So you want to keep in the front of those kinds of things, articulate your value. The more things you can share that you do that others don't, the better your commission is going to be protected. So whatever that.
Free, no credit card required.
What's that?
Free, no credit card required.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
I did the online one.
Yeah. They had on demand, and then they have scheduled. So
Yeah.
Go take a look at that. If you go to the CAR website, I'm sure you can find it there, or check your emails for some promotions on that. But it's free. Go do it. And I hope you all have a super good week. And if you need me, you know how to find me. All right. Have a great week, you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Great seeing everybody. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.